I must make it. My message to those who have come here to champion the virtues of Wandsworth Borough Council and TfL, to promote their own agenda or resurrect tired old petitions is this. It's probably best you leave now, because this meeting's not for you. We're all here to make things better for everyone in Putney, not just a few. Finally, having dealt with the worst individuals on the streets of London, I don't care what people think or say about me. But if anyone casts aspersions online or anywhere else on Kerry or Francesca, then I'll deal with them in an unceremonious fashion. They're normal mums with young children who run a home and go to work. They've worked extremely hard for nothing. And it's right that I pay tribute to their amazing talents and efforts in setting up the PAG. Thank you. And I think a round of applause. Thank you very much. Let's move on with the presentations.
Sorry, so unfortunately we're not actually now live streaming. We've had an issue, so we're not allowed to do that. So apologies to everyone who was going to tune in, but we're now recording it. Yeah, we can start. So these were the key findings in terms of demographic of Putney. As I said, over 800 have responded. So as of Monday, 88% of people are fairly satisfied living in Putney. So it's pretty good. We like it. We love being, we like living here. 69% are female. Were female who responded. 50% have children living at home. 10% are a carer. And then we have the age groups broken down as the top 3 categories. So around a third are aged 45 to 54. We've got about a quarter who are aged 35 to 44, that's my age bracket. And about 20% who are 65 and over, they were the top age brackets of Putney. 38% didn't want to disclose household income, that was the top percentage, which is fair enough. And so 35% earn over £100,000 in annual income. So overall, people are happy, people live comfortably in Putney and very family orientated. So just to start with some really positive notes, these are we've kind of grouped them, but a lot of the feedback is very positive on Putney. People love the green space, it's a sense of community, it's great access to great schools, great proximity to the river. It's like its own village. Good quality shops, good transport links. Our amazing library, and it's family orientated. So these are really positive about Putney. So modes of transport. So here we go. Everyone you could take as many as you wanted. So how you get around in Putney. And majority, so 92% walk. 64% use a car, 57% use a bus, 53% use a tube, and 36% cycle. So a lot of people are using public transport there in those 2 categories, but majority are walking where they can. So let's look at the next slide. What are the top issues the PAG should prioritise? So we asked this question. And we have traffic and congestion at the top, unsurprisingly, and air quality and pollution. Then we have the safety for pedestrians, cyclists and road users as third. The roadworks, then bus operations and rental bike use, so that's like e-bikes. So if we think now of the traffic and congestion that a lot of people are walking, there's a disparity. So we need to figure this out and what's happening. We looked then at people, how they found the transport and the pollution and the congestion of Putney. Unsurprisingly, 88% of participants are very unsatisfied. 74% are very unsatisfied with air quality. So we've just popped up a quote here. The ridiculous, unwanted, not needed pavement widening at the High Street results in more jams, cyclists don't feel safe, and now they're riding on the pavement. So that's just one quote. We have hundreds, nearly 1,000 quotes that we can't obviously get through this evening, so we're just picking out key ones that cover pedestrians, cyclists, and road users. So congestion and road layout. So key points here is the common themes really, is traffic lights, the timings around Putney Bridge Road, the High Street, out of sync. We've got, I can taste and smell pollution on a daily basis in my street. The traffic is terrible. It's no good saying don't use the car, because buses can't progress either. And Low Richmond Road, it's hard to cycle over the bridge as the roads are too narrow. We've just seen common themes in terms of, this is impacting everyone, from cyclists to pedestrians and the car user. Another key point here is, from the Low Richmond Road, we only have one lane. Evenings and rush hours are busy. So on this side, this is from a business owner, and I'm sure this is impacting a lot of businesses right now. So both staff and visitors have reported extended travel times with difficulties parking and navigating nearby roads. As you can imagine, this has a direct impact on operations and local commerce, reducing productivity, limiting customer access, and affecting overall business viability. So we can all resonate with that how is this impacting, when we will see as well people are avoiding the high street. So we want to rejuvenate the high street when people don't want to be on the high street because of the pollution and congestion. This is a bit of a big one, but just kind of gives a view of children. We want the children to walk the streets to school, we want people to cycle, but they don't feel safe. And the council's strategy, the council's approach to school roads designed to make it safer for kids. This decision made around road design feels like they're especially leading from all sides to Putney Bridge, on the bridge, appear to make it more difficult for drivers on purpose, with possibly the aim being to discourage drivers to come via Putney, but this strategy is not working. And I will hand you over to Perry. If there's anything someone's itching to say, please feel free to put your hand up, or just wait till the end for the Q&A. Hi.
Thank you. I can see that the responses that were picked up were about car users.
Well, they're being about cyclists and...
The ones before. Now, then we had people saying that pollution, well, that's where it's coming from, or one of the major sources. So me personally, I would like to focus more on the solution that sits elsewhere, not with cars, because cars are not the solution to anything. Definitely not safety, definitely not pollution, definitely not jams and whatever. So hopefully by the end of it, when we get to solutions, we focus more on that.
That's what we're going to do in the end, yeah.
Fabulous, thank you.
We're just, as we said, we're highlighting the key comments which have come from the survey, and there was over 1,000 of comments to go through, so we tried to make it balanced. We actually talked about cyclists, we talked about people in cars, we talked about people who do both. So we will get onto that, we can discuss it all at the end in detail of a solution, definitely.
Yeah, all I was going to say, that's something that we are going to cover. What we're here to do tonight is an introduction, and then it's, as I said, by the people, for the people. We will decide what the priorities are. No one's getting turned away, but we will decide as a collective what the priorities will be and in which order they will go. Okay? So hopefully we'll cover that in the Q&A, yeah? Thank you.
Also, just to go back, I probably missed this section out here. Yes, it might come across like it's about car use, but they're basically saying the poor road design, closure of bus lanes as well, signalling, and then she goes on to say the air quality is poor just because of this. So it's impacting children walking to school, children cycling to school, and us, of course. So yeah, it's a whole issue that we're trying to cover. But I'll pass you on to Kerry, who will then talk about bikes.
Okay, so what we've done here is to highlight some of the major themes. We've covered roads and congestion. That was one of the big themes that came out in terms of the question, what should the Putney Action Group focus on first? This was another major theme, bikes and e-bikes. Bit of a mixed bag with this one. So of the 800, there were 536 people who had responses mentioning this theme. Some of those people were concerned for improving cyclist safety, which is a genuine concern that many of us hold. An equal number of people, or roughly equal number of people, also felt that there was a lot of dangerous cycling behaviour, that there were cyclists being unsafe as well. And then there's also a lot of concern around rental bike use and how those bikes may be left in places that block pathways and are not being put back in their parking bays where they've been allotted a spot for that. So, as I say, this is really a bit of a mixed bag, this one. People are saying things like, with the fear of cycling with my daughter, due to cars advancing in the cycle lane, like how can we improve cycle safety and encourage people to cycle? I can definitely relate to that one. That is not my quote, but I am a cyclist. I cycle less because I now have a daughter, and I don't feel safe on the very congested roads when she moves around because she's only 4 years old. So I can really relate to that one. Lack of cycling lanes. It's a very congested high street. Can we improve that? Can we get more people on the bikes? Would that be an option? I don't know. We need to talk about that and bring some of these issues up with authorities. And then equally, some people were talking about the congestion is perhaps encouraging cyclists as well. Well, not encouraging, but they almost feel like they've got no other choice. They have to jump on the pavement because it's not safe for me on the road. It's very congested here. So there's a lot of issues in this one for us to pull apart. And we can do more deep dives when we focus on this later on when the survey is closed. Can we move on to the next slide, please? So public transport, again, another very big theme. So of the 800 respondents, we had just over 600 mentioning public transport, with buses being a really top priority. We see a lot of comments in there about buses getting rerouted, buses getting stuck. One that really pulls on the heartstrings is, quote, "My elderly mother is terrified. A bus may drop her off somewhere she doesn't know how to get back." I mean, that's just not good enough, is it, for our residents? It's often impossible to get a bus from Putney Heath past the station. I have to walk, but I'm a type 1 diabetic. That's not always safe for me to do. So I have to choose sometimes between health and missing appointments. So there's a lot of concern about the quality of our bus routes, the frequency, and how they're getting stopped too soon. With the tube and the underground as well, we saw a lot of comments about accessibility. I know that this is a long-running theme for Putney. So a lot of people do want to see step-free access, and that has come up in the survey as well. And then there were also some safety concerns around the train stations as well. So if we move on to the next slide, please. We know that this is a big issue. This was why the WhatsApp group, which I believe many of us may be members of, the Putney High Street group, was all about making the high street better. We had 559 of the 800 people comment on the declining high street. A lot of people were very concerned with the lack of child-friendly spaces. 83 people of those mentioned potential money laundering. There's a lot of rumours around that. People are concerned who's actually shopping at some of these places. There's many shops that appear to be cash. Perhaps are not completely above board what's actually going on there. A lot of theft from shops as well, and police not to be seen. So there is a lot of concern around our high street, and we hope that we can pull out more rich quotes from the information that people have given us to really start going back to the authorities and pressing for change on this. Can we move on to the next slide, please? So safety and local resident concerns. We had about 363 responses that mentioned safety, a whole range of different issues. People saying they're increasingly concerned about squatters, rough sleepers as well, around Putney High Street and nearby residential areas. People are concerned crossing the roads as well. That keeps on coming up as a thing. We need to improve some of these crossings. It's been known for a long time. Some of the markings on the road are not clear when it comes to where the road is versus where the pavement is. and also the timing for some of our crossings as well. So we've captured all of that. And people saying they don't feel safe walking home at night in some areas as well. So some of the streets are feeling very unsafe. And not a lot of police presence these days as well. It's coming up a lot. If we can move on to the next slide, please. There were some questions as well around whether or not people had reported things to authorities, whether or not they found that they were listened to and things were progressed. So 38% of people didn't think it would help to report their concerns to authorities, and 30% did report their concerns, but they felt ignored. So that's about 68% of people with a very unsatisfactory response there. So really there is a lack of trust in authorities at the moment. I know that there are amazing people out there doing great jobs on our behalf, but perhaps there's also some improvement that can be done as well. So people have commented that they're reporting dangerous surfaces on the pavements, told it was logged, not saying that nothing's happened. Being contacted about idling cars outside of schools, there's no follow-up, it feels like people are ticking boxes, so just things are left with no response. And if we move along, I think that might be the end of, yes, that's the end of the survey results. I'm going to hand you over to Nick now, who's going to facilitate a bit of a discussion and a Q&A.
Right, thank you for that. I think the best thing we can do is the old way of doing things is the best. If you put your hand up, then I'll come to you and we'll facilitate the mic, and you can ask your question, and we'll discuss it. But please remember, I've had a lot of stuff online tonight. I'm just making some notes there, and like the message that I gave you, the third message that I made here is for those people. I don't know if they're here or not, but if you haven't got anything to contribute, if you think that what we're doing is a load of old nonsense and all the rest of it, then maybe this is not for you. So the door is there, and they're both open. I would suggest you go and form your own group and help the people of Putney in another way. What we're trying to do is to galvanise and organise the people who live here. I'm 69 in 2 months. There's very little that anyone in this room can say to me this hasn't happened to you. And I've seen a lot in my time in the police. A lot. Dead bodies, drug dealers, all sorts. I've dealt with the scum of the earth. But I've seen what's gone on here is not right. And I didn't want to get involved in this, but because of what I've done all my life and nobody else wanted to do it, and the fact that these two girls said that they would take on part of the responsibility, we're here tonight. So I would ask you to, if you've got a question, just put your hand up and I'll come to you. We'll facilitate getting the mic to you, and then we'll go from there. But the aim, we're not a corporate venture or anything like that. This is the beginning. We don't know where it's going to lead, but I tell you this, I will take this when we decide what we're going to do. We prioritise the list for you people here and everybody else in Putney. I will take the game to the authorities. Because I've been at meetings before, they tried to swerve me, where you ask questions in advance. We haven't done that here. That's a load of nonsense. What that is, that's selective questioning. I don't do that. I don't do data, I don't do figures, I don't believe percentages. I deal with people and their experiences. And if somebody's in trouble, I'll try and help them. Because I know what it's like. I've been there in many, many forms, many, many times, many, many sizes and shapes, So let's start a Q&A, and we'll see how we go. But bear in mind that this is just the beginning. It's an introductory meeting so that we can get some formation, format, and shape, and take it forward as a group, the Putney Action Group. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, this lady here, lovely, thank you.
Hi, my name's Carline, and I've lived in Putney for over 30 years. I've seen a lot of changes in areas in this area. I'm a cyclist and I'm also a driver, but I only drive to go actually out of London to visit my elderly mother. We live in a city, we have vans, we have cars, we have motorbikes. Anyone who orders something on Amazon is kind of responsible for a van actually going down their road. So we're not entirely innocent of actually contributing to traffic. So we've seen about the traffic and all the impact it has on Putney. It cannot be ignored that since the closure of Hammersmith Bridge, that has happened. It has had a huge impact that I have seen. I've seen it, and it is, although you say, Mick, it's not a political thing. Sadly, Hammersmith Bridge has become part of politics, and it's being ignored. One person is saying, oh, it's their fault, we push there. I've spoken to various people. I'm one of these people, if I've got a problem, I don't moan about it. I will write to people, I will campaign for it, and I'm actually proactive in doing it. And it actually annoys me when people don't do anything about it. That's why this is great here. So, Hammersmith Bridge is a thing. Now, I actually cycled along the towpath the other week. Hammersmith Bridge is open. The road layout is for cyclists and pedestrians, and that looks permanent. That looks permanent now. And I spoke to the guy there, and he said, well, it might not be open until, I don't know, 2030 and something to traffic. We can build, bridges are built in war zones. In war zones, they put a bridge up in 2 or 3 weeks. There is no excuse in this day and age for Hammersmith Bridge not to be open to traffic. Whether it stops one side, people get off, whatever. That has impacted Putney. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
So for me personally, the traffic problem, I felt like putting a banner right across Putney Bridge or handing out leaflets to people in all these queues down Disraeli Road to say the reason why you're in traffic is because Hammersmith Bridge is shut. Do something about it. And as I said, it is political, so to stop the traffic, it's something has to be galvanised to speak to those, people. And dare I say it, who's in charge of TfL? Sadiq Khan's the mayor, he wants clean air, but we're not having clean air, it's a double standard. I want clean air, I avoid the high street, I wear a mask down the high street. Why am I doing that?
Yeah. No, it's right, and I think what I would say to that, what I would add to that is, and I'm a motorist, I drive my wife from Wadham Road to Militia because she's got a hip replacement surgery, she just has a cast. I cycle, I walk, I get the bus, the tube, the train. I do all those things, so I know how each group is impacted. I get that, but I think the meetings that I've been to where Hammersmith Bridge has come up, when you start hearing that, well, if we do this, we do that, and maybe if we blow it up, well, that might cost 300 grand or whatever it might be. But then to hear that if we put a new bridge here, we redo it, it's going to take 10 years. We are not going to wait 10 years. And the fact of the matter is this, is that, yes, you are right, we all know about Hammersmith Bridge. But what's going on out here at the moment, it is like the Wild West. I know there's a man in this room who's come twice in about 3 days, come down Putney Hill. On one occasion, excuse me, turns around and there's a young girl on a bike, wheeling in between the pedestrians on the pavement. The next time he comes down, there's another guy, nearly runs him over, okay? And there's a cycle lane free, and he sent me a video clip today of a carer going up Putney Hill, okay, on the pavement, empty, on the pavement, but so is the road, so is the cycle lane. Now, it brings me to this. Cyclists are sending me and Fran and Kerry and posting online, if you're on the Putney High Street group, you'll see it. They're afraid to go on the roads. They're mounting the pavements. If you go round Worter Road here during the day when it's really bad, you've got mopeds mounting the pavement. And when I crossed Oxford Road today, and a woman stopped here, I'm halfway across, the crossing, and a man in a suit on a bike comes flying past me, and I almost grabbed him but couldn't because I'm too bloody well old.
But I think...
Listen, what's happening? What I'm trying to say is, yes, you are right about Hammersmith Bridge, but we now have to open our mind because it's more and more is happening to this area, and it's getting worse and worse. You know, so what we are trying to do is we need to get. It's not, you know, some people said on the posting of the group, oh, we don't only want it to be about this. We don't only want it to be about that. It's not. It can be about anything that you guys want it to be about. That's why we need to have this meeting and get a priority list. It's not just about the bridge. It's about various things as well.
I'm going to cut you short, Mick, because Mick can talk forever, we know that. Who's next? he knows I mean no harm.
I was going to say, the Instagram.
Yes, I did say in the...
Road can get on the...
Sorry, on the...
Nobody from Ashland Road gets on your side.
Yeah, it's unfortunately banned us from going on live, which is very strange because it was working earlier when I did I did mention at the beginning it wasn't live, I'm really sorry. But we are recording this, so we will make sure that this recording is sent out.
Next question.
So who's next?
Yes,
I'm going to give this gentleman a... Which you might...
Thanks. Hello, my name's Mike. I lead on air pollution for the Putney Society for the last few years. And I thought it might be helpful just to give a bit of information to the meeting about what's been happening, just in terms of sort of facts on air pollution. I mean, 10 years ago, when Putney Society started on this, it was absolutely terrible, especially on Putney High Street. Levels of nitrogen dioxide, 120 odd per cubic metre, which is 3 times the UK legal limit, and the UK legal limit is not very strict. It has improved a lot. It improved a lot when hybrid buses were introduced about 8 years ago now. Then it flatlined for a few years, and then the last 2 or 3 years it started improving again. That's probably because of the electric buses, the 93 and the 39, and also a lot of cars and vans are also switching to electric. The levels now are down to about 40. So they're just about in line with the UK legal limit. That is still not good, and you know, people who are concerned about air pollution, I do entirely sympathise, because the World Health Organization recommends a much lower level, 5, 10, and we're still up at 40. In the Putney Society, we've been monitoring about 8 sites around central Putney on all the main roads and 1 or 2 of the side roads for the last 3 years now. And that does show that things are improving around central Putney, but they're still not good. And there's some signs that the improvement has slowed down a bit in the last few months, but it appears still to be improving. It's probably all the electric vehicles that are having the big impact. Now, there are still a lot of problems, but what I would say is, TfL said they're going to replace all the buses with electric by 2030. People are switching to electric cars and vans. So it's probably going to continue improving, but it's not just traffic. There are a lot of other sources of pollution. Gas boilers, gas cooking, both the home and shops, restaurants. Wood burning stoves, particularly in winter, that's a big source of pollution. So I'd just like to mention, there's quite a range of issues there.
What I will say, Mike, is I am part of the Putney Society. I didn't know I was. I've been paying for X amount of years until somebody, I think it was Vicky Diamond, said to me, "You're actually or whoever runs the membership said, you're actually a member." What I would like to do, I shall attend the next meeting, but I would really like to sit down and what I want to do is create some engagement between various groups, so that we can create as big an entity as we can, because the thing for me, the thing that really rankled with me is the treatment of Wandsworth Borough Council and TfL in the way they dismissed the concerns, the views and the worries of the people who live here, making decisions or not making decisions on the people, you know, made by people who don't live here. So we will certainly talk and
Yeah, that would be good. And we do work closely with the officers dealing with air pollution. They are good. I won't speak.
I'll speak through Vicky.
Yeah, that would be good.
We'll
Right.
come together. Yes. Yeah.
And
I think the key thing for, sorry to talk over you, but the key thing is how badly, since we had the petition up of over 1,000 people last year, and it's gone and it's gone and it's gone. And I know that I spoke to Fleur Anderson, and she said to me it was going so well. I don't know what's happened. So when somebody, an MP says that to me, I'm starting to worry. And then when I get a map that shows green and Putney's purple, then I'm starting to really worry. So we will speak.
Yeah. Let's talk together. Just one last thing to say. If anybody wants to find out more about it, there's a big article on the Putney Society website about air pollution that we did last September. So just
briefly speak.
Lots of information.
I can put that forward as well. Lovely. Thank you.
Out of interest, because I know this has come up a lot just in terms of air pollution, where do you get your data? Because there's been so many different pieces of data coming through, and I think this is the mistrust again from just from the authorities. So
right, then I'll just say.
Just quickly.
Okay, so we have two main sources. There's a very high-tech piece of kit on the high street, just near McDonald's. That's run by the London Air Quality Network, and you can view that data online virtually in real time. Hourly data, it comes up about 2 or 3 hours after the actual hour.
Is that not the one that says it's in
In a big green box.
It says it's in Westminster. There's one where you say you look at it and it says Westminster, and I think that's what the confusion is with air data.
Yeah, it's actually funded by Wandsworth Council, but you can see the data on the London Air Quality Network website. We also do our own monitoring at 8 sites around central Putney every month.
Okay.
And
Good to cross-reference. Here is next.
Gentlemen at the back. Can we? You may have to come forward.
You might have to come forward. Sorry, we'll do the back and then we'll work through the front. Don't worry, everyone's going to have their say.
My name's Hugh Bishop. I've lived here for over 30 years. My friends don't come to Putney anymore. We stopped having meetings here. We don't even have coffee anymore because the ones that are disabled can't get it. The ones on bikes think it's too dangerous, so we now go to barns. So a lot of traffic, a lot of money's coming in. My issue is not, I was at a public meeting a few weeks ago, and I was appalled by almost the denial of the council and also their apathy to all the questions. As Mike said, I mean, the questions were pre-loaded beforehand. My question is, we can probably come up tonight with what needs to be done. Probably next half an hour, we're quite bright people, we know the problem. My issue is, how do we get them to change? What action do we need to take to get them to change? It won't be any good by going back in their doors now. What we've got to do is have a really great program which goes, tell you what, it might be that we have to put t-shirts on and line on the road and lower the road.
That's why to be honest, that's why we're here.
Starts tonight to affect change.
I mean, to be honest, that's why we're here. And I will just tell you one thing. In Winthorpe Road, there was a fence falling down, very dangerous. TfL again evicted a man who'd been here 40 years. Oh, he's not paying the rent increase. 68 or 66% rent increases at a time when there's no one living around here that go into that business. Okay, so he's been there 40 years. We've got to get the money back. We've got to raise rent. He's gone. I said, I tell you what's going to happen. There'll be burglary, squatters, drugs, and all sorts. And I was right. How surprising is that? And it's still there like that. But at the last meeting, January, at the Christian Platt Centre, I called hold of Leonie Cooper and I went, I've got a problem. I've got several problems. I've got 2 lists of problems. There they are. And I'll say one thing, 2 months later that fence has been repaired and there's new gates on it. Still ain't been done, but we can do something if you go on long enough. I'm a bad loser, so I just fight on. We just need everyone to put the message out to get people to join the PAG and get as big as we can. Thank you.
Nick. Passion.
Hi, my name's Geraldine. I live in Disraeli Road. I've lived here for a very, very long time. I'm passionate and a member of the Putney community, but what galvanised me to come here today and to be part of what you were doing, and thank you so much for putting this group together, because I would like to do something and I don't know how to begin, is the catastrophic change that's taken place in the quality of our lives in the last few months. I honestly have fallen out of love with Putney completely. My peace has been shattered, my life has changed beyond recognition, because by the time it takes 40 minutes to get out of Disraeli Road for a start. And I know this has all taken place because of the so-called improvements to the bridge layout, but the traffic's been thrown in all the residential streets, and I'm sure that the pollution reads must be going off the scale. But not only the pollution, it's the noise pollution. I sit in my living room of my house, or my office in my house, and the aggressive drivers screaming and hooting their horns and getting out of their cars and saying, why doesn't somebody call the police, is off the scale. And it's nothing to, I mean, why, you know, Putney Bridge, yes, of course, but it's been closed, I mean, Hammersmith Bridge has been closed 7 years. Why would you tamper with Putney Bridge when it's the next bridge for people to get over?
What I will tell you, again at the Christian Plaid Centre in January, when I got them, the panel, and I said, this is the problems we've got, they turned around and said to me, now this is a panel, not people like us, the panel said to me, we can't believe how bad the congestion is, we've had to park our car 3 streets away. And I'm being serious, and you know, I have to talk to these people with respect. I know how they work, and I know how they think. She won't, if I speak the wrong way, they'll look at me as an oik, and they won't deal with me. But I don't, and I speak to them with respect. But that's what
I think
told
that's
me.
the important thing we have to.
And that was in
have
January.
facts
So
straight,
look at it now.
I've written to Florence and I've spoken to a councillor. I've tried to be proactive because, I mean, I literally wanted to move because I didn't want to live here anymore because I hated what's happening so much. And, you know, and I think that for people like you who are volunteering your time and creating this group, and if it can be used well and properly for us all to get, you know, because I think it's got to be people power in the end that makes changes. I mean, I think the road layout that's gone on, I have absolutely no clue why that was passed. It's outrageous.
Well,
it's outrageous.
At the last meeting down the road, it was, somebody said, well, it was here before I came. I said, well, you know, where are TfL at this meeting? Where are they?
I mean, the
Why
bus,
are they not here?
bus timetables must be shot.
Yeah, but
I
they're
can't believe anything
they're
gets anywhere.
manipulating them because the bus companies make money. If they're on time, they're throwing people off the bus 4 or 5 stops early, 3 stops early. We all know this. That's why we're here, to formulate this list of priorities so I can go to them, right, what are you going to do about it? This is what the people, I represent all these people. I wish it was, how many have we got in Putney? 60, 90,000? If I had 90,000 members, they'd go white when I turned up and said, look, I hear you, we're all in the same boat, I promise. We'll do our best. I will promise you nothing, but one thing, I'll do my best for you.
We have a few hands
There's a lady
up.
over the back there front.
Yeah, would you like, I'll let you go first if you're there, and I'll come to you.
I'll use them without the mic.
Okay, no worries.
Right, my name's Graham Morris. I'm from the sock shop, corner of Lacey Road and the High Street. I look out at that box junction most of the day and I can see how bad it is. Everything that's been up there, and thank the 3 of you, I could have said, I agree, I've seen it, I've witnessed it, what are we going to do about it? I can speak about antisocial behaviour. I can speak about the lack of police on the streets. I can speak about how sales in our own shop have fallen off a cliff. But I'm not going to deal with that. I want to speak just for a moment or two about the traffic and the congestion. And I actually want to put on an old hat of mine. I used to be a lawyer, over 40 years. And I just asked myself the question, is there a legal route that might actually succeed? Now, you may have seen in the not too distant past, in fact it was about the 9th of May, that there was a High Court decision involving the West Dulwich Action Group. That was against the London Borough of Lambeth. Now, it actually dealt with low traffic neighbourhood schemes, and they succeeded against the local authority. It was on a completely different issue on consultation because it was a temporary measure, but it did assist me in identifying that there may be a legal route that needs to be investigated. And if you bear with me, it's a bit technical, but it should be pretty clear to you. Section 16 of the Traffic Management Act of 2004 provides that, 1, it is the duty of a local authority to manage their road network with a view to achieving, so far as is reasonably practicable, having regard to their other obligations, policies and objectives, the following objectives. A, securing the expeditious movement of traffic on the authority's road network. 2, the action which the authority may take in performing that duty includes, in particular, any action which they consider will contribute to securing A, the more efficient use of their road network, or B, the avoidance, elimination, or reduction of road congestion or other disruption to the movement of traffic on the road network. What is being done to comply with that duty? Now, this is a legal issue. It will involve expense. What actually happened in the Dulwich case is that a service station actually took the lead role, but on behalf of the West Dulwich Action Group. Now, I can't say whether there will be any legal remedy. I know from experience that addressing local authority, full council or committees is like banging your head against the wall. It's painful, but it doesn't achieve much in the way of results. Legal action may do, but it is expensive. May I ask you to consider a crowdfunding campaign to raise money? I have the details of the solicitors that represented that action group and the barrister who was instructed by them.
Thank you. We've talked about this before, and we've said, we've often mentioned, do we do a crowdfunder? And we've like, oh, we feel uncomfortable asking for money, but absolutely that passion and that knowledge, and anyone who else wants to get involved as well, please do, and we'll definitely look into that, so thank you.
Anybody who has any skills or talents, like this gentleman, okay, please come and see us, please contact us, because, it's 3 of us at the moment. We've got our skills and talents, but I am not in his league. I've just got a big goal.
But we'll go at the end and we'll get everyone
At the end of the day, please, if you've got a skill or talent, offer your services, because you're helping yourself and everybody else. Now, this lady there,
yeah,
would you like to come down, madam, please?
Sorry,
Thank you.
why you won't stretch that far.
Hello, my name is Hayley. I live on a street that used to be very nice and quiet. It was a bit like a village kind of street. But since, I totally agree about Hammersmith Bridge, but the situation has got so much worse over the last few months since they've changed that junction, to the extent that our road is now a rat run for people who are trying to avoid Putney Bridge Road. People in our street cannot get out of their properties because the road is completely chock-a-block. I have taken many pictures out of my bedroom window of stationary traffic. For half an hour, nothing moves at all. And I know people who come from Wandsworth, the other side of Wandsworth, and they cannot get to Putney because the buses stop at Wandsworth. And it says, on the front it says Putney, and when they get to Wandsworth, they know that Putney Bridge Road is a disaster, So they just changed it and they changed the sign to whatever it's called, but 5 stops before Putney. So we've had all kinds of ideas like no right turn out of Putney Bridge Road into our street, but nothing is happening.
Yeah.
And you know that taking out that one lane going into Putney High Street from Putney Bridge Road I don't know why they did that, because you know, for a while I was watching the traffic there, and then in a month there is maybe one cyclist turning left into Putney High Street. So why was all of that done?
Thank you. I will add to that as well that my own road has become a rat run, as I'm sure many others have. And what I don't like is all of a sudden we're starting to create a little bit of interest. And so what do we see just out there? And what do we see down there? The traffic counters. Why are they there now? I'll tell you why they're there now. Because they're summer holidays. The private schools are out last week. The small summer holidays are coming next week. Do they think we're that stupid? Well, I'm not, and I'm not having it. They need to get off their arses and come and do something for the people who matter, the people who live here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm just going to go to this lady here.
Thank you. 2 things.
Yes.
I live on Carlton Drive,
Okay.
and I moved here 3 years ago, and when I moved here, I chose Carlton Drive because it was nice and peaceful, no cars, quiet. So not the case right now, especially over the weekend. Carlton Drive is completely blocked, traffic jam, that's one thing. And another thing that is very upsetting, to say the least, is there's people who drive their cars from God knows where, leave it on Carlton Drive the whole day, and they take the tube from Putney, from East Putney, and leave their car there the whole day. Therefore, no one else can park, no one can use our roads, because we have these people, God knows who they are and so on. That's one issue that really affects me personally. The other one is something that I noticed that the survey didn't cover, and I wanted to bring it anyway. Street rubbish.
Yes.
It's unbelievable how dirty the streets are. Unbelievable. Putney High Street, there's no words, I don't need to explain anything. Carlton Road, Carlton Drive, or similar roads, dog waste everywhere. Everywhere. You can't walk. It's not safe to walk in the streets because of that. It's, for me personally, that is hazardous for our health.
Agreed.
Forget the congestion, forget the pollution from that. We need to sort this out as soon as possible, because this is affecting our health, and it smells now with the heat. Carlton Drive smells like a toilet.
They have let this high street and the side street decay. I've lived there many years, since about 1985 I lived in Norway Road. Actually, I lived in there in 1975, sorry, my maths is dreadful. And Wandsworth used to be a toilet, and they made Southside, but it's much better. This is like Wandsworth was all those years ago. And it's wrong, it's not acceptable. You're earning a lot of money. Don't blame somebody else, don't blame the Tories, don't blame Labour, don't blame the Lib Dems, don't blame anybody. You're getting the money, get up and do the job. Don't tell us you can't do anything. Oh, if you've got a problem with line bites, call this number. No, you do it. You're the council, you're 100, 200 grand a year. You do something and go and see people, come out and to things like this. Yes, I know, you probably don't know, but I'll tell you anyway. There's a big council meeting tonight. Down the road, the same time as ours. We didn't know that, but I found out today. Somebody let me know that there was a big council meeting down at the town hall. But they're not here. The TfL wasn't the last meeting. The bus companies don't turn up to have meetings that they're supposed to with Putney Society. You know, it can't carry on. You know, look, I'm going to be really rude. Don't piss on my shoes and tell me it's raining. And that's what they're doing. They're doing it to all of us. That's why we need to expand the Putney Action Group, get as many members as we can, numbers, strength, strength in numbers, and as one unity. Galvanise everybody you can to join us, and we'll join all the groups together. They can't ignore that. Thank you. There's two gentlemen there.
Yeah, I'm just going to go to this gentleman.
Okay.
And then we'll
Come to you next, sir, and then you.
Okay,
Sorry.
I moved into Putney 40 years ago in March this year, so I've seen it all. We had a trial run with the IRA bombings with Hammersmith Bridge. We all complained, so we went, actually it was like a rehearsal, and everything was fine until the French lorry tried to cross the bridge, and everything snapped, and we got the lorry off, and that was it. Then the council came, and one issue which has been forgotten by most of you here is probably a leaflet that we all got when the traffic scheme was finished from the council, because all the issues that were raised here we were grumbling about, probably you in Disraeli Road, as we down in Lower Richmond Road, in the off the Lower Richmond Road. But they tried to pacify us and said, wait until next Saturday when TfL is going to mobilize the, what are the detectors in the road, and going to rectify the flow. And I said to my wife, oh, thank goodness, I mean, we will be able to get out of Ashland Road again. Nothing happened. For those who actually went to school at the time, if you deduct 2 from 3, and that is the reduction of the lanes in the road, you come to 1. 1 lane going left, 1 lane going right, and there were 3 lanes before. And the same applies to those who live in Putney Bridge Road with a bloody, cycle lane. I'm a cyclist, but I don't know, I didn't need that actually. I mean, that's absolutely unnecessary. Cutting a long story short, nothing happened after that Saturday because it got worse and worse. And we in the Lower Richmond Road, or everybody who lives off the Lower Richmond Road, will see that every morning the backlog goes almost to Roehampton Lane. There is one static traffic jam which goes all the way past the roundabout by the Spencer, past the 2 Lower Common South, and it takes up until 10. And so what happens next? For those who are parents here and have children who have to go to school in All Saints or St. Mary's, they have this speedster screaming down, not at 20, not at 30, not at 40, down Felsham Road. And nobody's doing anything about it. And that is actually concerning me. As someone who has 2 children, one doesn't live here anymore, and the other one moved out of London into the Green.
I hear you, we know it's the same as the other streets. Yes, that gentleman there, then you, sir.
Thank you.
I'm an architect, and I know when you do an application for any council, you do a multitude of documents, including every application now needs a highways report. When the council decided to bugger up the Putney Bridge, that's where I'm putting it, being polite, there would have been a highways report done, that employed highways engineers who had spent a multitude of millions of pounds probably preparing what they're doing. What this gentleman said, who had one shop on this road, about the legal side, I knew nothing about that. I think if we're going to take action against the council, or look at it, we should look at the original brief the councillors gave the highways engineers, and that is the place to start and say, that is wrong. That is wrong. There's no point of going over, but actually, what you said, I have no idea about that legal 2004 legal thing. Get the action down, look at the policies, why was it, argue why it's not right, and then look at the 2004 law and get the lawyer to actually, that's wrong because of X, Y, Z. I'm just saying, a way of doing this, and I think
Thank
that
you.
is the way to start.
Lovely. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And what I will say on that, again, is that I was looking before I came out. I was going to print it off, but I didn't. Gentleman in it. But basically, I do remember, and I won't mention the name, but a councillor said, there'll be, when this is all done, there'll be none of this, no problems. It'll be better for the cyclists, better for the pedestrian, and it's not. And nothing's being done. Every which way we turn, nothing's being done. But we rely on people like you to give us that information, point it out, so we can collectively move forward. Thank you very much.
Can I make a specific point about that one? Because actually, I sat
Sorry, sir,
on...
could you speak into the microphone?
Sorry.
Do you want to come down?
Just come
Sorry.
down a little bit, please. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Can I make a specific point about that last comment? Now, I was forced to sit through 4 years' worth of meetings while the council told everybody how wonderful their plans were going to be. And it turns out that nearly every scheme they put forward was vetoed by TfL on the grounds it might hold up the buses. So it was TfL who finally approved the bodge up that we've got now on the grounds that that was the least likely to hold up their buses. You couldn't make it up.
But
No, you're right.
that's where I wanted to start.
Thank you.
Is looking at that's where I wanted to start. Is actually go back to the beginning. What was the original brief? What happened? And then that's the way to start. It's actually exactly what you said.
We wanted to reduce the number of pedestrian roads.
Well, it's getting the starting point.
Okay.
And then
Listen,
using the
what I would
law as it
say,
stands.
what I would say to you two gentlemen is, if you could email me a short précis of that to the Putney Action Group at outlook.com, that would be fantastic. And we can look into it. So, thank you very much.
I'm just going to go to this and then you next. Yeah. Thank you. Sorry.
Hi, what worries me about our conversation is that the discussion is about how can we get more cars through Putney, when cars are the problem to begin with. Hammersmith, I take your point very much that closing Hammersmith Bridge has made it worse, and maybe the latest council plans have made it worse. But the fundamental problem is there are too many cars going through Putney. And therefore, when it comes to what you're trying to achieve, I think the objective has to be longer term. How do we encourage less cars to come through Putney? Because otherwise, if we make the roads better, that merely encourages more people to use their car. And there was a quote that you put up there where someone had actually stopped using their car because the situation is so bad. So in a sense, it was working.
No, I get that, and I think that's probably what they're aiming to do, but they haven't gone about it the right way. And you know, there's other issues as well from that. And as I say, I never speak without experience. You know, I've driven here, and I can't go over to Dickinson's in North End Road anymore because I just can't drive. I'm too old and I can't drive over there. So, you know, and okay, that's got me buying stuff locally, which is fine. But I think my own personal view is, and not as a chairman, but my own personal view is, eventually there will be cameras there. As soon as you go like that, bang, £100 fine. And if you try to appeal it, it's £200, £300, £400. I know because somebody came to me and said, this happened to me and they fined me £80. And the signage is wrong. You're approaching a road like that. The signage is facing that way. They turned there, £80 fine. I said, well, hang on, you can appeal that because the signage is incorrect. It's misleading. It's confusing. Oh, no. And then you get to that point where, do I appeal and it's going from £80 to £160 or £200 or not? And people swallow it because they're afraid. And you know, the next minute it's 500 or it's £1,000 or in some cases 30 grand to take the council an appeal for a parking thing. So it would not surprise me if we saw cameras on there just as a money spinning exercise. That's what worries me. That's what worries me. But
We did that survey recently about the proposals with all the changes. Was it the council who did that?
so did the proposal for what? Sorry.
Yeah, well, there were, they had a few proposals, a few ideas, and one of the stupidest ideas a human being could possibly have was to create a taxi place in front of the East Putney station.
To
Okay.
bring more cars is we
Yeah.
didn't have enough.
My understanding, and don't quote me on this, my understanding is, I won't say that's been cancelled, because that's where that poor lady went under a lorry and was killed. Okay, I know what that area's like. I went up there and looked at it. But basically, my understanding is that not that it's cancelled, but it's been shelved, or it's not going ahead at this stage. What that means, I don't know, but I cannot tell you any more than that. That's only my understanding of it, and I can't even remember when it comes from.
Can I just make one final point?
Control the...
Was it TFL who had that stupid idea? Yeah, not surprised.
It was a big
I
thing.
went to that consultation and I said, how about more buses? How about you get your buses to actually work? Can we start there?
So can I make one final point, which is I have some sympathy for the council in that they're trying to encourage cycling, they're trying to make walking down Putney High Street for pedestrians more pleasant. Actually, and I do find the wider pavement allows you to get away from the traffic and is more pleasant. So they've got an impossible job, which is they're trying to increase the flow of traffic whilst actually getting more cyclists and making pedestrians a more pleasant experience. So when we do this campaign, I think it's really important that we don't just prioritise getting more cars through, but we also think, how can we encourage cycling and how can we make the pedestrian experience better?
Absolutely, a great point, and I think again it brings me back to what I've said. This is why we're here. This is an introductory meeting to say, look, we think this, what do you think? There's been some very interesting stuff and it's great. So come on board, send us what you've got, and we'll do it together. We'll go forward together. Thank you very much. Anybody else?
This gentleman here, because he's been waiting very patiently.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, my name's Richard. I've lived in Putney since 1971.
Yeah.
And I'd like to take up the point that this lady made about the Hammersmith Bridge. She said it had had a huge impact. That's actually not true. It's had a small impact. Before the bridge closed, 25,000 cars crossed it each day. After it closed, almost 10,000 of those didn't make those journeys. The rest were diverted. Some, mostly to Chiswick Bridge, some to Putney, 4,000 of the 25,000 diverted to Putney. So they had a small impact. The main problem here is this rather botched business with the junction. But let's imagine that if we get rid of it, it will go back to free flowing. There's always this thing when people change the traffic and it seems to be worse, to say, in the good old days it flowed freely. Before we had a cycle lane, all the traffic went through, and that simply isn't true. But go back to Hammersmith Bridge. Currently, the current estimate is to replace it is £250 million. If you believe that, I've got a nice apartment in Buckingham Palace, so I can sell you for a budget price.
We'll put that
So,
over there.
finally, I'd just like to back up what Mike said about pollution. It is going down. It's not going down far enough, but it is definitely going down. The fiction that it's rapidly increasing is untrue. It may be felt to be true, but it isn't. The data shows that.
Thank you very much for that. What I will say is, I don't do figures. Maths is not my strong point. I'm better as a talker than a mathematician, but I tend to deal with people directly and their feelings and their experiences, and I don't speak without my own. So I always err on that side. And my job is to facilitate what the people of Putney want and how to resolve the issues and make their lives better. Thank you for that.
Just very briefly, hello.
Yes, fine.
It's all very well inviting people to use their cycles, and I'm all in favour of that. I think it's a very good thing on all sorts of levels.
Yeah.
But I do think there needs to be an element of training involved. Because an
Yeah.
awful lot of people on bikes just haven't got a clue.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's the only point I want to make.
No, it's a very good point, and I did mention, and I can't remember where I mentioned it now, cycling proficiency test used to happen when I was a kid in the 60s. And there's a few old people here I know, like me, and they will remember that, a cycling proficiency test. And I think there was an advert on the TV for it, but I mean, as I said to you earlier today, I came across Oxford Road and a guy in a suit cycled round the back of a car, stopped for me and went straight in front of me.
There's one other thing about pollution, which I'm very happy to hear that the readings have become better.
Yeah.
But we do have a local restaurant, Putney Bridge Road, with outside seating. Their business has plummeted as a result of people's perception that the pollution has increased.
Yeah.
And there's nobody sitting outside. At one time it was full. If you went past on a Saturday, everybody was sitting outside enjoying the sun and the fresh air. They're not there now.
Yeah, I know.
So that would be another business.
I think it's very, very difficult. Having done the job that I've done for many years, it's very difficult. It's very easy to become frightened and fearful and concerned. You know, and so I get that. It worries me the amount of businesses that I go into and speak to. And Mr. Morrow himself, you know, he's spoken at other meetings. I get it. I understand it. So I fully understand exactly what you're saying. Yes, sir. In the middle, from.
Just this gentleman here. He's just going to. I didn't see. I saw his hand. And then you're going to start wrapping up. So.
Sorry, which one are you going to? Me?
Yeah. I just
Thank you. Oliver Slack. It's my impression that this action group's really come about through the traffic on the Lower Richmond Road. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but that's where it seems to have been generated from. There are lots of issues. Fine, okay, fine. It seems like the biggest issue in the room. I know there are many. The Lower Richmond Road, the Putney Bridge Road, the Putney High Street, as a result of the new implementation of the bridge works.
Surveys, main concern was the traffic, congestion, and then safety.
Yeah. I'm all for less cars, but the reality is the problems we've got are new, based on the same traffic we had before as a result of the changes to the junction. So long-term planning for less traffic, great. But the reality is if we went back, I believe, to the old system on the bridge, we'd have a better flow of traffic. And I agree it's not going to be perfect, because we all have a perfect view of it flowing freely. But what we've got today is ridiculous, all the way back to Barnes. I live on Bangalore Street. I cycle with my son, Salvin, along the river, back onto the the Lower Richmond Road, over the bridge to school. What's happened, 95%, I believe, and I've stood on the road for a while, of the daytime traffic, so not school traffic, the daytime traffic that comes down Felsham Road is a rat run. Probably 99%. Comes down Felsham Road, it goes down Biggs Road or Weeds Road. Then it either tries to turn right or left, and if it turns left, it goes down to the river and uses that as the shortcut and comes back up at Duke's Head. That's the way I cycle in the morning, and plenty of people who live on Festing Road, Rotherwood, blah, 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 have all got the same issue of the rat run. They also can't get out of those roads to turn right to go to Barnes because of all the traffic coming from Barnes blocking their roads off. So it can take them ages to get out. The safety of all these back roads, particularly around Felsham Road where there are 4 schools, is really, really a challenging. And from a personal perspective, with a 10-year-old boy on a bike, we've got lots more traffic to contend with, lots more opportunities for him to be hit, plus the types of people that take shortcuts, short of time, frustrated, entitled, anxious, angry.
And reckless.
More likely to make a mistake. I've been, for what I would say, chased down the river as they take the shortcut down to the Duke's Head by cars that will hoot you on your bike, but we've got dog walkers, cyclists, rowers, all sorts of people coming at us as well. And in the worst case scenario I've seen, there's sort of enormous great vehicle, got to the Duke's Head, realised there were 6 cars in front, decided to overtake them all on the wrong side of the road, pretended to turn right to Barnes, turned left to Putney, drove all the way down from the Duke's Head on the wrong side of the road, on the oncoming side, to get to the bridge, and then cut in at the end, hooting cars on the way to let him in. But this is the issue.
Yeah, I'm a parent.
This is the issue for me that I believe brings it together to...
It's, with respect, you've just arrived a bit late, haven't you?
No, I've been here all
I've
night.
been here all the time. With respect, you would have heard me mention that before. There's rat runs all over the place.
No,
this is cool. So I'm with
I'm
you.
reinforcing that,
Yes,
but I
I'm
think
with
the
you.
issue I believe that's brought this together is the bridge and the traffic.
Yeah, because it's exploded so quickly.
Everything else is on top of that, and it can be another force for good. But I think this has got to be the issue. I think the collection of submissions, committee minutes, etc., is going to be vital to the success of this. And I'm interested to know, because I don't know, is, as the gentleman at the back who's now gone said, is how do we do it? Who do we influence? Is it just numbers here, or is there another process? And you talked about it being not political. But if we vote out councillors and vote in councillors, can we get change? And if that doesn't work, do we have to go to TfL? And so I think a very concise, clear direction of travel that we can all buy in on to lead us to this holy grail of what we're looking for is where we need to go. Thank you.
I agree with you on that, and I will say that you guys and everybody else who joins the Putney Action Group needs to give me the armoury to take to them. Okay, that's what I'll say to that. This gentleman here was next.
Just on that point, just because I know I don't know if everyone saw the slides, if people came in late, but the point is 92% of Putney residents, or what should I say, people who have filled in the survey so far, are walking. So yes, there was still 64% using their cars. I use my car to go out of London, you know, but 90% or 80% of the time I'm walking. So what's happening? There's a disparity. There's something's not right where the people of Putney are suffering, you know, all of these rat races, all of these issues, when we're actually trying to, you know, walk out the door, when we're trying to, you know, live in our streets and enjoy the high street. So
This gentleman here next. So could you come forward a bit, please? We're struggling with the lead.
Yeah, thanks. My name is Mark. The top paragraph, sorry. Thank you. Sorry, the top paragraph says that the changes of road layouts around Putney are with disastrous results. I suggest that there's an elephant in the room that people really don't like talking about, and put in a single sentence. That is, you can't have free traffic flow and lovely cycling combined in Putney. They're mutually inconsistent. And if you want to get things sorted out in Putney, then on the example of the end of the bridge, you have got to remove the cycle lanes that have been put in, which restrict the flows. And that's the fundamental problem that we've got. There's a group of people, one of whom spoke earlier, that suggested the whole idea, greenish idea, is that you stop people driving their cars, which screws up people's livelihoods, of course, because they can't get about and do their job properly. I personally think that's an absolute nonsense idea, but nonetheless, the fundamentals is you cannot have happy cycling with narrow lanes with cyclists and all the rest of it and expect to get traffic sorted out. It's just inconsistent.
Yeah, lovely, thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I was just going to say as a final comment, you know, gathering about all the problems in Putney, particularly traffic. If you were looking for an area to live in London, would you want to come and live in Putney right now? Probably not. Yeah. No. So think of your house prices if you need to sell, and that will hit you in the pocket. Money talks, and that's the spinner. People in Castle know their house prices have rocketed. They're living in an idyllic village in Castle Knowe. Housing here is difficult to sell. Yes, you could say it's about the whole kind of scenario, but the more problems we have with traffic in Putney, your property is devaluing. Now, an estate agent could argue the point, but it's worth thinking about. That's what I'm saying.
On that note, I think before I pass back to Fran, I will say to you, the gentleman who's not here, I've never met before, but I know his name, emailed me and said his view. Now, I told you my view about the cameras, what I think. His personal view is that this is deliberate for that to happen so that the next wave of would-be owners can come in, buy cheap, and and up goes the value of the houses. It's like an upper class social experiment or social cleansing. I mean, but that's what somebody said to me. No, I get that.
And passion is important.
I get that.
But the gentlemen who are looking for solutions, we've got to be careful that we remove anger.
Yeah, of course.
Unnecessary passion. Stick to the facts. And then have a clear route.
With respect, I could show you the email now, so it's factual. He sent that to me, and that's it. I think it's outrageous, personally. My view is it's outrageous.
Very good price.
But that's what's, it's just that this is what people think. This is what fear does to people.
I think in terms of the house comment, because obviously Kerry and I, we have a lot of mum or families who are friends, and a lot of people are leaving Putney. As you said, they're leaving because they want to go to suburbs. They want to move, not because of whatever, they're moving because they are sick of the Putney. So there is a mixture. It would be interesting to get some estate agent data, which I did look into, but potentially probably from next year. So just in terms of house prices and anything. But any more questions? We really need to wrap up. We're sorry we've gone over.
Could you come forward, please? Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, my name's Joss. I live in Merivale Road, and until I retired, I commuted into central London by bike every day, and I never had any problem. The most dangerous people were the cyclists. I had 2 serious accidents caused by cyclists, one by pedestrian and 2 by cars. And probably one of those was my fault. But you don't need cycle lanes 2 meters wide. You just don't. It encourages cyclists to go in pairs, which is, well, to my mind, ridiculous.
Safer for them to overtake.
Sorry?
Safer for you to overtake them.
Yes. But if cyclists are sensible and keep to the side of the road, watch out for other cyclists, watch out for cars, use your brain, you don't need these great big cycle lanes, and which annoy drivers and create all kinds of... Well, as a personal thing, you should have seen my very, very calm and civilised daughter-in-law yelling at another car trying to get out of the cycle lane in Putney Bridge Road. I've never seen her behave like that before, and it was not a pretty sight. Anyway, cyclists, just behave yourselves. You don't need the cycle lanes any wider than the width of your bike, and just behave.
Thank you. I think it's indicative of what I mentioned about the Wild West earlier. There seems to be a sense of entitlement in society now, and also a lack of respect and manners on the streets. And it sounds horrible, but from younger people, I've seen some stuff happen in the last few days. I can't even go there.
Last question, and then we're just going to wrap up.
Thank you.
I was at another meeting in Putney about what is wrong with Putney a few weeks ago, which had been called by the local MP. And therefore, you could argue that politics has to come into it. But really, all that occurred at that meeting was that she asked for a list of what people who were attending were unhappy about. No attempt was made to discuss any individual problem or to describe how one could possibly go about making some changes. Absolutely nothing. And when she was asked if she had done anything about this or would do anything about that, her reply was that she had already said whatever was necessary to the council and got nowhere. But then there was a full stop, as if she was doing her job. There was no question that it didn't appear, there didn't appear to be any question of her pursuing anything that she had not yet had any luck with or any progress with. And so, personally, I felt that it was a waste of time being there, a waste of time holding that meeting, and a waste of time to call us there and to make us believe that it would do some good and make some changes. Now, obviously, we have a congestion problem. Obviously, some of us are political. You can't just suddenly leave yourself at the front door. Each of us has a lifetime of where our ideas come from and what we feel are our rights. It seems to me that being here, and I came out of curiosity because the other meeting was so useless, such a waste of time, and I thought, well, here's a new group of people, let's see what happens. There is much more here of individuals feeling that they might be prepared, might possibly be prepared to belong to a group which might possibly achieve something, but one has to start somewhere. My worry is that you are suitably very angry about the way things are going. I was very angry with her when people said, one of the big subjects that was brought up was shoplifting in the high street and how shop owners are having to protect their goods. And I've certainly noticed that at front doors of shops now, you have to ring a doorbell or knock on the door and they'll come and open the door to let you in, which is it takes any enjoyment of shopping away altogether. But I can't remember where I was going with this conversation. I wish it was a conversation because what I have to say is just personal. I don't know anybody here, but it seems to me that if we behave as with you and the ladies as we mostly behaved with the MP, nothing will happen at all. That you can't do it on your own.
No.
And you need a lot more people who are prepared to take some responsibility with how to make any moves with any of the things, anything at all that's cropped up this evening that people are unhappy about. It's an enormous problem.
Oh, it is.
But I can't just rely on you to go and do my work.
No, exactly.
It's just as easy for me to sit back and say, oh yeah, right, you know.
But you can't, with respect.
But if the MP got nowhere with the, the MP has got nowhere with the council and hasn't taken responsibility for getting nowhere with the council. I'm keen to know. You must have some idea in your head of some avenues that you can follow, which presumably don't include the MP, because she's political.
Yeah. So.
And you've said we're not going to be political.
Yeah. Okay. So what I will tell you, I have worked and I will work with any politician. Okay. Because I work with the people at grassroots level. I've worked with Justin Greening with one case. Stephen Hammond, I've worked with Fleur, and our councillors are very good. And they've been all good to me and very helpful with me. But I told them, whatever happens, there's no politics in this group. It can't work, it cannot be. This is the people representing the people and taking it forward together. If you want to help the people of Putney and you want to work with me and us, that's fine, but there'll be no political gain or bias. It can't happen because we will end up the same as what you just exactly described. What I intend to do is if we can spread the word and get as many people as we can. I mean, if I go to the council and say, right, at the next meeting or whenever it is, I'll write to them or whatever it might be, whatever we decide to do, and I go, I've got 600 members here, they go, if I go, I've got 10,000 members from Putney or 35,000, they go, what? What do they want? This is what they want. This is what they're saying. The thing for me is this, the key issue for me is this. As I said with my colourful language earlier, they have taken liberties with us for too long. You cannot carry on the way they've carried on and do this, that and the other and run off to where you live and take the money you're taking and leave us to do nothing and decay. Because I'll tell you now, I found out, and I can't remember where, there's money earmarked for Clapham Junction from Wandsworth Council. There's money earmarked for 9 Elms. There's money earmarked for 2 streets in Wandsworth and the Wandsworth town area. But there's nothing here. Nothing. You can't even get step-free access in East Putney that they talked about. That's gone. Can't carry on like this. We have to do something. We have to, for want of a better phrase, we have to rise up and revolt, you know. But we have to do it as a collective. This is to galvanise people, for you to spread the word and get your neighbours and friends to say, this guy wants to do something, these girls want to do something, we want to do something, we're tired of being pushed around, we're going to do something. We don't know how far we can go. And that's why I said, I can't promise you anything, only one thing. I'll do my best. I will do my best. I don't need to be involved in this because I live in Wadham Road, but I want to be because it's a bloody disgrace. You shouldn't be being treated like this. And while I'm alive, and I don't know how long for, I will go to them and take the game to them. One last question, if it's quick.
I'm going to reiterate something I said earlier. This group has come together from Putney. That's the biggest issue this group has got.
Yep.
It's the biggest reason you're going to get lots of people. If you promote the group on that one reason alone, and if the group is successful after that, you'll have a big group to tackle the other issues. That's my view.
I appreciate that, and I agree. You have to understand is, if I start telling you people this is what's going to happen, then it's not, I'm then telling you what's going on. We have to do it together, yeah? We have to do it together. We must raise the priority list together, and so not everyone's going to be happy, we know that. I agree with that gentleman wholeheartedly, but there are other issues we need to take them all into account and go with a priority list. Thank you so much.
Just a quick one, Mick, because in terms of kind of related to everything, but your question as well, like where do we take this forward? I think the gentleman who pointed out about, we need to look at the TfL plans, what was approved and what has happened. I think that's the first step. So we're looking obviously for volunteers, people who are willing to get involved, analysing data, looking at plans, anyone who will be able to help kind of look at that from a professional point of view. And I think that's the steps going forward will be, in terms of talking to businesses as well, getting more in-depth detail on that, to kind of as a point to take forward, what did they say was going to happen, and is that happening, and has it happened? So I think that's a major point that we take forward as a starting point.
Any skills or talents, please email us and we can discuss and we can go from there. Mike, we will speak. I would love to